So we've done a lot of private match testing for this game, and also we've took some inspirations from pros as well as other creators alike to give you the best 5 class setups to use inside Modern Warfare 2. So starting off with the first class setup here, we do have the M4 along with the P890 as well, which is a solid pistol. But what I do want to quickly talk about before we get into any of that is actually the perk packages. Now, there's some preset perk packages which are very solid in this game, and I'm going to quickly go through them because there's 3 I want to point out. One is Phantom. This is going to help when it comes to the larger scale game modes such as Invasion if you want to stay off the minimap. Is going to be very handy for leveling up weapons. It gives you Battle Hardened, Double Time, Cold Blooded, and Ghost. If you want to check out which are the best perks in this game, then you could check out our perk video, which I'll leave linked at the end of this one. The next one I do think is actually really good as well for a base perk package, and that is the Support perk package. And this is going to help with Bomb Squad, which is essentially EOD. We've got Battle Hardened once again. We've got Resupply, which is also a relatively decent perk, and then we've got Survivor, which allows you to revive yourself. And lastly, my personal favorite, which is Sniper package, and this one is going to help with a lot of things that are very important. So Double Time allow you to attack sprint for longer because you can't slide cancel in this game. Carry an extra tactical is always useful, so that is something you can't really ever rule out. Focus is one of the best things about this game, is having reduced flinch on any weapon, especially considering how much recoil there is in this game now. And then Bird's Eye gives you a larger minimap. Now, with all that out the way, let's get on into the M4 build first. Now, what I do want to point out, which is a really important thing, is that you don't always need to have a full 5 max attachments on any of your weapons. Now, this actually seems very counterproductive, but actually in this game, a lot of the attachments actually have some very severe cons, and I don't really know why they've made it like this. I feel like always the pros should outweigh the cons on every attachment slot. Now, when it comes to the M4, you want to use the Komodo Heavy. It's going to help with horizontal recoil. The Ripper underbarrel, which I think is the best underbarrel in the game. Now, it does con your aim down sight time, but we will be making up for it with some other attachments here. But it's going to overall help with recoil stabilization, which is a very important stat in this game. Pretty much one of the most important stats when it comes to recoil control. And then aiming idle stability as well. Then we've got the OLE laser, which is going to help with aim down sight time, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. Basically a TAQ laser, but it is visible to enemies, but we can kind of play around that anyway. Then we are using an optic. In this case, the optics do kind of con your aim down sight time, which is a bit unfortunate on assault rifles. I don't really know why they kind of made this a con for no reason, especially on the lower zoom optics. And then lastly, you do want to have the X10 grip on here to help with sprint to fire speeds and aim down sight speeds. Now, like I said, we are pairing this with the P890, and obviously you can mix and match the secondaries in any of these loadouts we're about to show you, but this gun is pretty much a 2-tap in this game if you're at close range, so that's what we've built it for. So we've got no optic here. We do have the laser for a faster aim down sight time because we're going to use some attachments that will con the ADS. Again, we're using the barrel that is going to basically give you a faster aim down sight time. We do not need bullet velocity on this gun, and we don't really need much recoil control either, because you should be pretty much using this at point blank range. And then when it comes to a bit of control in the weapon, we are using the DZS open compensator, which will give you a bit of horizontal and vertical control. And then we are using the Bruin trigger, which is going to help with fire rate, but it cons your hip fire movement speed, which isn't too much of a con, especially on a pistol, so we shouldn't really notice it too much. And then lastly, we've got the 12 round mags on there, which will con your ADS. When it comes to tacticals and lethals in this game, the tacticals I would recommend are the flash grenade, the shock stick, and also the snapshot grenade. I think those are the best 3 in the game. When it comes to lethals, I think the Semtex, the drill charge, and the throwing knife are the best 3 in this category. Moving on into the second loadout now. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe as we try to reach our goal of 50k. So in this class, we have the KASTOV-762, which is a very popular gun right now, and also the X13 auto pistol, which is a fully automatic sidearm. So when it comes to the KASTOV, this gun hits like an absolute truck, but on top of that, the recoil is still manageable, and the recoil with this build is pretty much straight vertical, so you could definitely control it very easily. So when it comes to the muzzle, you want to use the LR8 muzzle. It's going to help with horizontal control, and this is the main type of control you need on this weapon in particular. So that is why we have went for that, even though it cons your aim down sight. Then we are going for the Ripper underbarrel. Once again, I do think this is the best underbarrel in the game, even though it does con your aim down sight. Is not batting much from what we can feel in game, and overall it's still a solid choice. Now we are going for that laser there to give you the faster aim down sight time. We do need to make up for it with a few attachments, so this is going to be one of them. Then we are using the Cronin Mini optic. I do just prefer this one over the rest. You could choose whatever one you like, to be honest. And then lastly, we are using the TAQ grip to give you a better aim down sight time, because this has got quite a slow aim down sight time for the base weapon. Now to pair this up, we've got the X13 Auto. Now we are using that same compensator again to give you the best control. We are using, again, the laser, but this is going to help you with aim down sight speed. We're not using any hipfire lasers here because the mags will con your aim down sight time, so we're trying to compensate for that. Slimline optic, you could choose no optic if you want. That actually might save you a bit aim down sight time, especially since you should only be using this at close range anyway. So that's personal preference there. And then we are using the fast draw rear grip, which is basically going to allow you to switch weapons quicker if you are switching to your pistol. And then on top of that, it's going to give you a better aim down sight speed and better sprint to fire, which is always ideal, with a slight con to recoil, but again, you should be only using this at point blank. And then we are using a 33 round mag. You can go for the 24 as well. I just feel like it burns out very quickly. You definitely do not need the 50 round drums. Maybe that is for more specifically Warzone and DMZ. Next up, we have the LACHMANN sub as well as the JOKR. And in this case, this is where we have one of those guns where I don't think you need to max out all the attachment slots, because if you do that, you are conning the weapon quite significantly. So I do think the lockshot muzzle is the best in this case. It gives you horizontal control, which is absolutely needed. It also gives you vertical control as well, but it does con your aim down sight time, so just keep that in mind when you are using the lockshot. But this gives you some really good control. Then again, for the laser, we are making up for that aim down sight con with the 7mW laser here. For the underbarrel grip, we're using the TAQ-V wrecker grip, and this is because it doesn't give you any cons. Hipfire accuracy is always welcome on an SMG, and overall we want to kind of keep the same kind of base stats of the MP5 or the LACHMANN sub, and without giving you too many cons there. And then for the magazine, you do want the 40 round mags. I don't think 30 rounds is quite enough for a submachine gun like this. It fires really quickly. Now, the reason why we paired this with the JOKR is because the JOKR on that 6v6 map with all the cars, if you're spamming this at the start of a game, especially off spawn, and you're trying to basically aim for the enemy spawn if you know where that is, then you're going to get some super easy kills with this JOKR, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So it is pretty much a joke at this point on that map. But second of all, if you're playing Invasion or Ground War, if anyone's sitting on rooftops, you can get them off very easily as well. So overall, I do think that JOKR is a very solid launcher in this game. Next up, we have an Overkill class, which I don't really recommend in multiplayer. But if you are trying to level up weapons and try and do two weapons at the same time, then Overkill can be handy. But not only that, I just wanted to show off certain weapons that I do think are super powerful in this game as well. And the first one is the TAQ-56. I think this is probably my favorite assault rifle in this game. It's probably not overall the best, but it's definitely really solid, and it's a little bit better than the M4 in my opinion when it comes to that close to medium range. So you do want to use the Komodo Heavy once again for the horizontal control. That is the main type of control we need on this weapon in particular. FTAC Ripper, once again, I do think this is the best underbarrel. OLE laser, which is going to help with the aim down sight time and sprint to fire. Cronin Mini optic, once again, is my favorite optic, and then clean shot grip, which is going to help with sprint to fire and aim down sight time. Now we can pair this with the PDSW, or you could use the PDSW by itself on a non-overkill class, but this is definitely the build you want to use for it. And this SMG is super low recoil at close range. Like, you could pretty much never miss a shot with this gun. So you do want to use the lock shot. Again, we used a very similar attachment on the MP5, and that's just because it is the best muzzle when it comes to SMGs in my opinion. So it helps with horizontal control and vertical control with a con to your aim down sight time. We are using the hipfire laser, and that's because none of the lasers for the PSDW actually give you a better aim down sight time, so we are using the one that is visible at the hip, which doesn't really matter too much in my opinion, but it does make the hip firing a lot easier. Then we are using the slimline optic, which is my favorite for SMGs. It does con your aim down sight, so again, if you do like the irons on this gun, you could use those, but I don't really recommend that too much. When it comes to the rear grip, we're using the Step 40 grip, which is going to help with recoil control. Last but not least, at number 5, we probably have a loadout that can actually work really well in Warzone when it drops as well, so it's probably worthwhile leveling these two guns up in my opinion, and that is the SPR along with the KASTOV-762. Now, I was torn between this and the Vaznev, but I do think the KASTOV-762 is a slightly better weapon as a sniper support, but the Vaznev is also a really solid choice as well. Now, when it comes to the SPR, you've probably seen this a ton in this game, and that is because it's pretty much broken at the moment. Now, when you are choosing your muzzle, the Husher silencer, in my opinion, solid. It gives you a bit of bullet velocity, it gives you the sound suppression you're looking for, and it does con your aim down sight time, unfortunately. Now, that is just the case of this game, unfortunately, and I don't really recommend anything other than a silencer when it comes to a sniper rifle here, because they do help with bullet velocity. You do then want to go a high velocity, and that's again going to give you more bullet velocity. It cons your damage range, but it doesn't really matter too much because you're going to get a one-shot headshot out to infinity range anyway. Then we are using the OLE laser again for that faster aim down sight time. It's pretty self-explanatory here because we do need it. And then when it comes to the stock, we are using the padded extension stock, or the pad extension stock. That's going to help with sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. It's going to con recoil, but as we've tested in previous sniper videos, recoil in this game is basically the recentering. And then lastly, when it comes to optics, you can either choose to have no optic, because basically it will give you a slightly quicker aim down sight time. You could choose to have maybe something like a 4x optic if you really want to, or maybe even a 3x optic. But I do think the bullseye optic is the best when it comes to using these guns. So I'll quickly show you that you can still get a pretty decent aim down sight time, even though we do have an optic on here. And I do still think you are going to be able to quick scope very easily with this build. Last but not least, we have the KASTOV-762, and for the muzzle on this gun, you do want to use the castle compensator. Again, it helps with horizontal and vertical control. It's one of the best attachments in this game in my opinion, especially to get the control in your weapon. Then we are using the shark fin underbarrel, and that's just mainly to give you no cons, but it does give you idle stability, which, to be fair, in this game you actually do need, just the way they've designed the game. So it's still a really solid attachment, and it doesn't give you any cons. Then we are using the OLE laser for the aiming stability once again, but it also gives you faster aim down sight time. And then we are using the R7 stock, which is going to give you sprint to fire and sprint speed, which is pretty much ideal, especially if you're using this as a sniper support. Then I wouldn't really recommend any other attachment after this, to be perfectly honest. If you really want to put something on here, then I would recommend an optic, maybe the Cronin Mini or a slimline, but that would be the way I would build this weapon. I wouldn't really put that extra attachment on there because the iron sights are pretty decent on this gun anyway. So there we have it. Those are 5 of the best loadouts in this game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.